edition of the Hispanic Patriot, a weekly podcast broadcast live from a secret, undisclosed location behind enemy lines here in Denver, Colorado. Here we speak the truth and nothing but the truth to help us God. And now, without further ado, here are the hosts of the Hispanic Patriot, Nicholas Roscoe and Hugo Chavez Ray. Give it up for Nick and Hugo.
Golf clap. All right. Hello, friends and viewers across the fruited plain. We hope everyone had a great Independence Day celebration last Thursday. It was our nation's 248th birthday. And it's great to live in the good old U.S. of A. There is no better place on the planet to live, in my humble opinion.
Especially now.
Exactly. So welcome to our weekly edition of the Hispanic Patriot, starring yours truly, Hugo Chavez Ray, the boomer, and my energetic young co-host, Nick Razzo, the millennial. Today we have breaking news on the Hispanic Patriot. The show has reached its first significant milestone. We are celebrating our first anniversary. I can't believe it's been 1 year since we launched our podcast. Time sure does fly by when you're having fun and, of course, disseminating important information. Want to keep reminding folks, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to send us a gift for our anniversary, we won't turn it down. Please go to our website at www.hispanicpatriot.com and click the donate button. We appreciate all of your support and pass the word on to your friends and family. Thank you for viewing tonight. We have some important topics to cover tonight. So let's get right into it. Welcome to our special Independence Day. Nope, that's the wrong one. We're going to get right into it. All right. So we will begin tonight with what's known as the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act, it's crucial legislation that seeks to ensure that only U.S. citizens participate in federal elections by requiring proof of citizenship for voters and for voter registration. The SAVE Act amends the National Voter Registration Act, setting requirements for states to verify U.S. citizenship. It outlines acceptable documentation for providing citizenship and requires states to set up alternative verification processes for citizens without standard documents. Additionally, the legislation compels states to purge non-citizens from voter rolls and establishes federal penalties for intentionally registering non-citizens. Utah Senator Mike Lee is one of the several Republicans in Washington pushing for the bill that would require proof of citizenship to vote in the United States. Illegal immigrants and non-citizens across the nation are being improperly registered to vote, allowing them to cast illegitimate ballots in federal elections, said Senator Lee. At a time when trust in voting is more important than ever, we must stop foreign election interference and pass the SAVE Act. Voting is both a sacred right and responsibility of American citizenship, and allowing the people of other nations access to our elections is a grave blow to our security and self-governance. I'm proud to stand with Chip Roy from Texas to save our democratic process and representative government. We have a short video we're going to play for you regarding this topic. Roll it, Peter.
Congress is returning to Capitol Hill. The docket this week, a vote in the House on the controversial SAVE Act, a bill introduced by House Republicans that would require voters to show proof of U.S. citizenship in order to cast a ballot. We'll lay out what the proposal means, how it impacts you, and the reasonings from both major political parties for and against it. The SAVE Act would make changes to the National Voter Registration Act. Under the current law, voters are only required to attest to their citizenship status by checking a box saying they are a U.S. citizen. But the SAVE Act would change this, requiring someone to show proof they are a U.S. citizen in order to register to vote in federal elections, including presidential ones. Documents that count as proof of citizenship include a U.S. passport, a photo ID card if proof of citizenship was required to obtain it, or a photo ID along with supporting documentation such as a birth certificate. For U.S. citizens who are lacking documents, states will be given access to federal agency databases so they can confirm a person's citizenship in order to approve voter registration, according to the text of the SAVE Act bill. Other changes under the SAVE Act would include removing non-citizens from voter rolls. Homeland Security would have the discretion to remove non-citizens from the U.S. if they were found to have wrongfully registered to vote. And if state election officials register non-citizen applicants, they can face jail time or be sued. House Speaker Mike Johnson released a 22-page plea to House members to pass the SAVE Act. In it, he says Congress must pass the SAVE Act to close the loopholes that allow non-citizen registration and, in turn, voting, to enhance election security, minimize the risk of foreign interference, and restore Americans' confidence in U.S. elections. There was a similar bill voted on by the House in May, blocking non-citizen voting in Washington, D.C. 52 Democrats sided with Republicans to pass it. But Democratic leadership is urging its party members to vote in solidarity this time against the SAVE Act. In a whip question released ahead of this week's vote, House Minority Whip Catherine Clark says under the SAVE Act, for the overwhelming majority of Americans, the only acceptable standalone form of identification for use in voter registration would be a passport or passport card. A real ID driver's license, a tribal ID, or a military ID would be unacceptable unless coupled with additional documentation. This would be an extreme burden for countless Americans, including military voters, Native voters, people who have changed their names, including tens of millions of American women, the elderly, the young, the poor, and naturalized citizens. The SAVE Act vote is one of several to watch for this week. We reached out to House Speaker Mike Johnson to ask when the SAVE Act would take effect if it were to pass, whether the changes would take place before the November election. While we haven't heard back, there is a slim likelihood the bill gets to that point. Even if it passes the House, it's not likely to get taken up by the Senate. For more stories like this, breaking down issues that matter to you ahead of Election Day, download the Straight Arrow News app for more of our unbiased, straight fact reporting.
Unbelievable. Just, you have to ask yourself, what in the world are Democrats doing? I mean, seriously, they can't even get in line with approving legislation that would only limit voting to American citizens, and that said citizen must prove that they are a citizen. What the hell is going on, man?
I think is Democrats don't want to ask the bare minimum effort from Americans to go and vote. I mean, for example, I can sympathize like maybe one tiny iota with the women who changed their name, because it was quite difficult after me and my wife got married. Name changes, it's a bit inconvenient, but that's all it is. It's an inconvenience. This is not taking away anybody's rights. It's giving it's giving the American people an additional errand if they don't have their birth certificate lying around, which, for what it's worth, if you don't have your birth certificate lying around, you should get it, because the place that you were born at, if the hospital gets destroyed or torn down because, America's crumbling urban infrastructure, or if the parish that you were baptized in or something goes, your documents are not there forever. They're not on some eternal database. Go and get them. That's what I learned really early in life.
Nick, everything is digitized now. I can get online.
Well, that's traditionally,
I can get online and order, and I have done this for my grandkids. I can order a birth certificate for my grandkids in 5 minutes. Okay. The only thing I have to do is prove that I am a relative, which is simple enough, and I can and pay the fee. And within a week or two, the birth certificate is in the
Right.
mail.
Well, that's the thing is for younger generations, everything is digitized, and for older generations, you probably should have your birth certificate because if this is not what you think about every day, but if you pass away and your family's trying to find your birth certificate, that's not particularly convenient for them. Just at all stages
Yeah.
of life is what I'm trying to say is you should have your documents.
But in
I
my case,
don't know why people
I'm
don't.
a naturalized citizen, so I have
Oh,
my natural.
do you feel inconvenienced by that? You were on the list of inconvenienced citizens.
No, I have my naturalization certificate right here in my drawer, right here. I can pull it out anytime and show it to somebody if needed.
And I don't know
Okay.
why any immigrant wouldn't feel the same way or have the same thing. Like my dad was the same thing. Keep your documents in one place. Like all of these groups, usually we're the people who need those documents on a daily basis the most. Like the poor, if we need to prove welfare, you need documents. If you're naturalized, you need to prove that for jobs and housing and all kinds of things. So it's like the list of people they said would be most inconvenienced by the SAVE Act are probably the people who most likely have their documents. So let's, you know what they say in psychology, if you can't discern what their motive is, you got to go with the outcome. To me, the SAVE Act, and maybe you agree, is pure bureaucratic easy. This should be passed like, like an easy softball. Like back in the day, this would have just been considered bureaucratic process, and it would have been passing, oh yeah, we need to update our voter rolls, we need to make sure that people are voting, but now there's an incentive to not because, well, the evidence seems to be it's because Democrats use illegal immigrants and all these sort of loopholes to hide votes.
Yep.
That would be the easiest explanation in my view. Maybe if you have an alternative theory, Hugo.
Well, here's what Representative Chip Roy from Texas said. He said, secure elections are a key cornerstone for any representative government. Without them, we won't have a country. Radical progressive Democrats know this and are using open border policies while also attacking election integrity laws to fundamentally remake America. Where have we heard that before? That's why I am proud to introduce the SAVE Act with Speaker Johnson and my Republican colleagues, along with the invaluable support of citizens and organizations that recognize we must end the practice of non-citizens voting on our elections. It's such a simple concept.
It really is.
It's truly puzzling to me that we even have to have this discussion. It would seem that any American, right, left, middle, upside down, or whatever, it would be common sense, right?
Well, unless
Wrong.
it is right. Unless you're playing a game, unless you're playing a game that is, politically based, and you care more about winning elections than keeping a country. That's the only way it makes sense, and that's why I just don't see a future in the Democrat Party because they don't see a future in the country that they're trying to run.
Well, it's not a Democrat Party anymore. I think we need to make sure we make that clear because that party has been co-opted by Marxists, leftists, people who want to destroy this country and have no American pride whatsoever. So let's just call it what it is. They're not the Democratic Party anymore. They're the American Socialist Communist Party, in my opinion.
I think they would beg to differ for marketing purposes, but it's like a chameleon skin is very useful when you're trying to hide your old colors,
Yeah, well, people are waking up to their shenanigans, thank God.
Well, especially in this election, because here's the thing with Joe Biden being so how can I say this nicely? Obviously compromised. There's
Incapacitated.
Incapacitated. There we go. There's a question of if he's this bad now, how did he win last time? It just invalidates the past, is what they're doing.
Well,
so the
I
SAVE
think we
Act,
know the answer to that. He didn't win last time, but
that's why the SAVE Act, I think, needs to be passed. It's simple bureaucracy. It's just updating some voter rolls and having the federal government oversee things that it should. Well, as you said, it's puzzling until you put the pieces together.
Let's look at these stats right now. Under Joe Biden's watch, over 11 million illegal aliens are now here on U.S. soil. Personally, I think it's much more than that.
Probably.
But that's enough to replace the entire population of Kansas almost 4 times, Senator Marshall said. Democrats' motivations behind welcoming this influx of migrants has been very clear. They believe these are future Democrat voters. While requiring U.S. citizenship for federal elections has long been a requirement, our legislation finally puts pen to paper on the exact documents a person will need to prove they are, in fact, an American citizen and eligible to vote. Proof of citizenship as a requirement to vote in our elections should not be controversial. It is our responsibility to protect the integrity of our electoral process. By implementing rigorous checks for voter registration, this legislation would defend against improper voting and seek to restore confidence in the integrity of our federal elections. It's really a no brainer for Americans who want free and fair elections in America. And
I really couldn't agree more.
I want to sit down with somebody that wants to argue against that. I really do. I want to sit down face to face across the table and have them, give me their logic as to what is so egregious about requiring proof of citizenship to vote in our most important elections. It's just mind-boggling to me. But
Yeah,
here
really
we
is.
are, and I think the reporter on that video was correct. They're probably the Senate right now is controlled by the left, and we know they're not going to move this legislation forward. So
No.
we look to November, where Republicans hopefully will take over the House and the Senate, and then President Trump will hit the ground running on January of 2025, and a lot of these things will be righted. All right, so that there you have it. Keep a close eye out on Save America Act. That's an important topic.
And apparently, the Democrats need to keep an eye out for Project 2025, which I believe is our next topic, if I'm not
Oh yeah.
mistaken.
Well, they're up in arms. They're calling Republicans everything from to So 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 basically, Project 2025. In my opinion, the jury's still out on this item. There are some good things that I've read, and there are some questionable things included. So more research needs to be done before we at the Hispanic Patriot can take a position on this item. For the moment, it's important to note that President Trump is distancing himself from this initiative. The Heritage Foundation is regarded as a conservative think tank, and they are the authors of this project. Um, it has brought together 45 and counting right of center organizations that are ready to get into the business of restoring this country through the combination of the right policies and well trained people. The project's foundation is built on four interconnected pillars. The first pillar, the upcoming production of the policy book Mandate for Leadership, represents the work of more than 350 leading conservatives and outlines a vision of conservative success at each federal agency during the next administration. Presidential candidates won't be able to ignore what the conservative movement demands in this book. So that sounds like there's quite a few folks involved in this. That doesn't mean it's good or bad. I personally want to do more homework before I give an opinion on it. Some of the things that like I said, that I've read, I like, and some of the things are kind of dubious. Uh, they could be amended, perhaps. They could be changed, but I understand the concept. I don't know how much you've gotten into it, Nick, but I understand the concept that we need to bring this country back into a more conservative guideline, if you will. And that's what I think the Heritage Foundation is trying to do.
Yeah, I actually worked a lot with the Heritage Foundation when I used to work with Turning Point, because they were kind of like one of the big sort of how you say this, like the sort of movement that took place after the Tea Party. There was this sort of the populist
They're a
grand
prime.
Tea Party, and then there was the more like professional class, like Turning Point was trying to get people into office and lobbying positions and stuff like that. So I feel like the Heritage Foundation, this is just them pulling out all of their stops and doing what they do best. Is they set the tone and bar for conservative policies in their own sphere, in their own area, and they help connect people, and they help try to get those people into political office and advisory roles.
Well,
I don't
they're
really see what's so nefarious about it, to be honest.
no, they're a. I mean, they're a prime think tank,
Yeah.
prime conservative think tank, and that's exactly what they do. That's their job.
Yeah, so I don't
Um,
understand why people are so scared. Like, I don't think the project itself is the news story, right? It's the Democrat reaction to it and claiming that this is some, project for a new American century. It's some big, scary plan that the conservatives
Oh
have.
no, they think that Republicans are going to round them up, put them in cattle cars, and send them to re-education camps.
Yeah, like
That's
they think this is like General Plan Ost, that this is like some sort of like, oh, we got the smoking gun. This is the thing that shows that
have you
they're so
heard
evil.
AOC and Rachel Madcow? I mean, talking about how they're going to be arrested and sent to camps if Trump wins.
It's amazing because it's fear mongering, and then the Democrats set up this fear on a silver platter to their constituents and say, "Go wild on this, just think whatever you want."
Yeah.
Because that's what I see. This is one of the most unimaginative psyops I've ever seen. Of they're coming for you in some way, and this document proves it. This idea. It's very silly. I don't know where it came out of, and I think this isn't going to be the last silly sensationalist thing we see before the election. I think the Democrats are going to do this maybe once a week.
Oh, we're going to be hearing about Project 2025 from here until the election for sure. And
I don't think so. I think they would move on and make up something new to freak out about, and that'll sort of leapfrog forward. But I'd be happy. Whichever one is not a good strategy. They should just, have a good non-geriatric candidate, at that bare minimum. They shouldn't resort to, fear mongering about stuff from the Heritage Foundation of all things. Like,
oh, they hate the Heritage Foundation.
oh yeah, sure they hate it, but it's not like the thing controlling America. Like,
Yep.
there's a lot of groups out there that are conservative and have the ears of President Trump and other conservatives. The Heritage Foundation is only one of those groups. They're absolutely powerful and full respect to them. But they're not the only player
they're
in the game by far.
influential. Let's just say
Absolutely.
they're
And they've done a lot
influential.
of good work.
They're not powerful in the sense that they have the power to implement anything.
So I don't understand why they're so freaked out about
well
it.
because they you know how they ramble on.
They set their hair on fire. Yeah,
Here's the second pillar of the project. The second is the online personnel database.
Yep.
This conservative LinkedIn will launch in March and will provide an opportunity for rock solid conservatives to place themselves in contention for roles in the next administration. This pillar will bring Mr. and Mrs. Smith to Washington. The third pillar is our Presidential Administration Academy. When conservatives do finally make it into an administration, they often don't know what to do or how to seize the gears of powers effectively. Through their inaction, and their encyclopedic knowledge of volumes of technicalities about the federal workforce, certain career federal employees are masterful in tripping us up. Our interactive, on-demand training sessions will change that. They will turn future conservative political appointees into experts in governmental effectiveness. And the fourth and final pillar of Project 2025 is the playbook, which will take the policy ideas expressed in Mandate for Leadership and transform them into an implementation plan for each agency to advocate to the incoming administration. What regulations and executive orders must be signed on day one? Where are the greatest needs for more political appointees? How can we effectively use the mechanisms of government to face our most challenging problems? The playbook will put our movement to work answering questions like these. In November 2016, American conservatives stood on the verge of greatness. The election of Donald Trump to the presidency was a triumph that offered the best chance to reverse the left's incessant march of progress for its own sake. Many of the best accomplishments, though, happened only in the last year of the Trump administration, after our political appointees had finally figured out the policies and process of different agencies, and after the right personnel were finally in place. The usual suspects in the permanent political class will be ready for the next conservative administration. Will we be ready for them? That's where Project 2025 comes in. We have 2 years and one chance to get this right. So stay tuned. This one is sure to get white hot in the coming months. I like what like I said, most of what I've read. I think, one of the issues that people don't pay attention to is the bureaucracy, the entrenched bureaucracy. We change administrations, okay, and we get different appointees to the different branches by the president. But what doesn't hardly ever change is the entrenched bureaucrats that are in the apparatus. The same people remain. So if these people are ideologically opposed to the incoming administration, they can easily throw monkey wrenches into policies and the implementation of ideas that would take us in a more conservative direction. So one of the things that I believe I've heard President Trump talk about is this time around, they plan to clean out the bureaucracy, and they plan to shrink a lot of these agencies that are just wasteful in the sense that, they don't do much except collect a paycheck, then a pension. And that's got to end, because our national debt is growing by the second. So if we don't get a hold of this and start changing the course, then we may not be around to see the results of what's going to happen over the next 10, 20, 30 years. You're much younger. You'll probably be around.
I was just thinking about that as you say.
I will pray for
around.
you. In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Vaya con Dios. No, really. Well, and that's why, I bring up this almost every show. This is why a lot of people in my generation don't want to have kids. It's because this future really is not looking great, and we know we need to do something about it. And you're absolutely right. The bureaucracy and sort of unattractive jobs like this is actually where a lot of power lies. So if you don't, if you don't put your own people into the bureaucracy, then like I said, you have an enemy bureaucracy effectively. You have a deep state. You have all the things you don't want. So it just becomes ineffective also to a certain point, because this is essentially just pettiness. I mean, people have to realize that the offices they hold are much older and much more important than their own petty squabbles.
Right.
And we're just not at a point where human psychology in the present time is ready for that, I guess, again, to be, decent social human beings. So as this problem exists, we need to train these people, or rather train their replacements to go in. Because like you said, it's not that like if Trump gets in, when Trump gets in, it's not like he just has this huge pool of conservatives ready to be bureaucrats. A lot of times your conservatives hate the bureaucracy, so they don't want to actively go into it. Something like this could actually break apart and entrench part of the deep state that we've been needing to unseat for a long time. So I'd look forward to that.
I think the idea is to shrink the bureaucracy, not necessarily to remove and replace.
That's why I'm saying that you wouldn't need too many people that would be part of this. You wouldn't need too many conservatives in there, just enough to, to undilute the pool. Because you're right, just shrinking it solves a lot of the problem. So, you have this two-front war that the bureaucrats now have to face. That's probably honestly why we're hearing about it so much, is because the bureaucrats are scared of it. The bureaucrats have a lot of power and money.
Oh, of course.
So that's probably why we're going to hear about that. You're right.
That's exactly. The media want to protect the bureaucrats because they know the bureaucrats do their dirty work. So here's, I
don't rely on pencil pushers.
No, I think President Trump is just being cautious right now. He's got so much going on. He's focused on so much other activity that that's why he's saying, he's not signing on to this at this time, but he hasn't necessarily basically uh, discarded it as either. So
That's
he's
his
basic
usual strategy.
he's basically saying, don't assign me to this project, although that's all the media is doing right now. They're saying this is all Trump, and in fact it's not. This time they're dead wrong. He had nothing to do with the implementation of this project and the coordination, and that's why he's saying, he's read some things that he doesn't like on it. So there's room for discussion, and I'm guessing that there will be some modifications as we go along. But for the most part, I think he would probably agree with a lot of the goals of the project.
Well,
So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting
Foundation.
it's going to just another thing to watch on the radar here as we go into November.
Yep, very much so.
All right. Now let's switch gears and go on to the RNC platform. As a lot of our listeners know, Nick and I will be at the convention next week, and we're going to be meeting some fine folks around the country. We hope to conduct some important and topical interviews that we will report back on our channel, as well as our platforms of social media. So stay tuned for that. Next week we will not have a regular show because we will be at the convention, but watch our channel for important and fun short videos that we're going to create and upload to our channel. So we hope to impart some inside information to our viewers next week, more than what you'll probably get on the networks.
Definitely.
And definitely topics and things that they're not going to cover. So the platform has been on the forefront because it got approved this Monday, 2 days ago, at the RNC. This week, by the way, is the convention hasn't started, but this week is where meetings of committees and other groups meet to make decisions on behalf of the RNC. So Monday, the platform committee met and submitted and adopted the newly formulated platform, and it garnered a 75% vote approval at the platform committee. It contains a little controversy, putting staunch pro-lifers in the party against the more moderate wing of the party, but I think it's nothing that we can't work out. This is being labeled Trump's platform because, in fact, President Trump had given his seal of approval to the newly adopted platform, and I'm sure his campaign had a lot of input into this. It is much more compact than previous platforms, I can tell you that. Previous platforms normally run 200 to 300 pages. This one is under 200, so basically cut it in half. It contains the tenets of the Republican brand with some variations on key topics, not the least of which is the abortion issue. So here are the key points to the newly adopted platform. Number 1, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Number 2, carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. Number 3, end inflation and make America affordable again. Number 4, make America the dominant energy producer in the world, by far. Number 5, stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Number 6, large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. The young people should love that. Number 7, defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Number 8, prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and build the great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. Number 9, end the weaponization of government against the American people. Number 10, stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. Number 11, rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Number 12, strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. Number 13, keep the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. Number 14, fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. 15, cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. Amen to that one. Number 16, cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. Number 17, keep men out of women's sports. Number 18, pro-Hamas, deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. Number 19, secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. And number 20, unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. So there you have it. Those are the 20 key points of the platform. I find nothing that I can disagree with. You will notice that there was nothing in those 20 key points that related to the abortion issue. That's the most glaring part of the 20 items. So it's not to say that it's not in the platform. It is in the platform. We still stand as a pro-life party. It's just that I think the Trump campaign has decided that the abortion issue is basically a Democrat issue in the sense of how they portray it to the public. And so we don't want to participate in that. We know where we stand. Pro-life people know where the party stands. He's focused on winning the election, and that's my take on that. I still believe he's strongly pro-life, and he's stated so with his exceptions for life of the mother, rape, and incest. Those are his exceptions. And of course, late-term abortion. That shouldn't even be in any state's legislation. And unfortunately, we in Colorado live in the most radical legislative state on that issue, where a baby can be aborted in the 9th month, and in some cases, that's infanticide, in my opinion. And our illustrious legislature here in Colorado, along with our radical governor, think that's okay.
When, as you're about to say, even worse things than that. I mean, we tolerate all kinds of nonsense when it comes to abortion here. So, I mean, that's one reason that we feel, I think, so strongly about it here in Colorado. And as you know, Hugo, I'm hugely against abortion due to a number of things, but especially from a religious standpoint. As you know, I'm very Catholic. That's a really core portion of it. And I think that
you and me both.
There you go, exactly. But really, the core piece of this is so I should be outraged more than anybody. We should be outraged more than anybody. But I think that one thing that allows, because this is why we encourage people to get educated in politics, because then you're not so angry about so many things. You're only about the things you really need to be. Trump made abortion a non-federal issue. What is he going to do about it? That's what I would ask to anybody who's up in arms about this. I would say exactly that. He already kicked it back to the states where you can win pro-life races. You know that with the way that politics swings in the national elections, especially the Democrat women's vote, that's just not something you want to harp on, because it, then Biden harps on it. We saw that in the debate. The only really area that Biden was even 10% coherent was when he was fighting Trump on abortion. So I think this just kicks that issue completely in its face, saying, and okay, no, when they say, oh, he overturned Roe v. Wade, well, that made it a state's issue. He took it out of his own hands. What more do you want from the man that you don't trust with your abortion decisions? I mean,
he did it. Look, he did the exact thing that needed to be done.
exactly.
He is dead set against a federal ban on abortion because he doesn't believe it's a federal issue.
It's not anymore.
It's not anymore, exactly.
And his Supreme Court
but
justice
to hear the Democrats, they want to, codify Roe at the federal level. If they had their druthers, that's what they would do.
They're
tomorrow.
accusing Trump of what they're doing. Exactly. They say, oh, we want it federal. He wants it not federal. That means he's against abortion completely. Like, it's absurd. I mean, again, this is just really dishonest, and I don't.
And the
like
language that the left uses is just reproductive women's rights.
Not the rights of millennials to have a future, feel they have a future, and want to have children. Only the right to, kill off our own blood and generate. That I gotta say, Hugo, if I could just take 30 seconds for this, I really don't like it when Democrats, and I'm sure nobody in my generation actually likes this, when Democrats offer abortion to us as something that we should feel good about. Abortion is a terrible thing. It means something bad happened. It means something bad happened or something unplanned happened that now might result in something bad. That's the general idea. So why are these politicians saying, "Oh, we'll let you do something about it that you really shouldn't do"? I don't really like it all. I had that when I was leaving in Illinois. Somebody said that they were like, "Oh, well, we just legalized weed and we just codified abortion." It's like, so I can be depressed because I had to kill my child. Like, what is this nonsense that you're offering to us, Democrats? How about offer us money to make children, to raise children? How about offer something decent? Not, oh, just kill off your lifeblood and future. Oh, it boils my blood when the Democrats harp on abortion as a positive thing they're offering us. It really upsets me.
I'm more probably radical than most because I consider abortion murder. It is a life. It is a life they're snuffing out. I don't care what they say.
It did nothing wrong.
They can twist it any way they want. It's murder. And when they go meet their maker, they're going to have to answer for it. That's all I have to say about that.
And I can't stand it because I ask these people, because you see these people, they often have dead eyes and say, didn't you kill the inner child in you enough? Why do you have to kill another child that's not you in the womb? If you killed your innocence, you killed your morals, why do you have to kill somebody else's before they even have a chance to prove if they're good or evil?
Exactly.
That baby is pure good. They can't sin at all. Yep. So give them a chance. Give the babies a chance. And we all know that. We don't need a Republican Party platform to tell us it.
Exactly. I mean, that just happens to be our stance as a party, and we're the party of life, and they're the party of murder.
But now Biden can't harp on it. He can't harp on it without being dishonest. So yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the president's potential VP picks. So the speculation is all over the place on this. The choices range from Senator Marco Rubio to Governor Burgum of North Dakota to Vivek Ramaswamy, Senator J.D. Vance, Senator Tim Scott, Representative Elise Stefanik from New York, Representative Byron Donalds from Florida, Ben Carson, our former HUD secretary, and Tulsi Gabbard, who is a former Democrat who left the party because she couldn't take any more of their insanity. And she's a veteran. Now, to be fair and to be straight with this, Tulsi is not a Republican. She's a registered independent. So I don't know if I would approve that, and I don't think Trump would either. I think that the pick is going to be a Republican. I can look at this list, and in my opinion, I think I would eliminate Rubio, Stefanik, Byron Donalds, and Ben Carson. That leaves us with Burgum of North Dakota. His pros and cons are good. He has virtually no baggage, which is great for a VP candidate
And rare for a politician.
and rare. He's a self-made man in terms of wealth and business. He's a businessman, just like Trump. And so he would be a great uh, addition to the ticket in the sense that uh, he could handle the job, uh, in my opinion, better than Pence did. Um, and there's J.D. Vance, who is considered the MAGA guy. He is he basically wrote the book on MAGA. So he's if Trump wants a straight MAGA guy, that would be J.D. Vance, and he's from Ohio, so that's not a bad pick. And then there's who else? Tim Scott from South Carolina.
And Hugo, I think you know that actually Tim Scott is actually my pick for who Trump's going to win, being a pick in the end as VP, actually, because he was the only person that he name dropped in the first debate. I noted that in my commentary. And I think the black vote, just threatening that, Tim Scott doesn't just really bring, the black vote just because of his ethnicity. It's because he can actually speak to them in a really unique way. The way that reminds me, honestly, of Herman Cain, if rest in peace, if you remember that gentleman. And I've been waiting for that since, because I actually supported Herman Cain originally in 2008 or 2012. I forget.
I was a huge Herman Cain fan.
Yeah, so I think that honestly, I really wished for that back then. So I think it would be great now, and that would be my only piece of evidence, because there really isn't any evidence for anybody. That's the only piece of evidence I can see, that Tim Scott was name dropped by Trump in the first debate, and Trump name dropped literally no other Republican. I think he might have mentioned Mike Johnson, but even then, I don't believe so. So that would be my pick and why I think so. So we'll see. We'll see if that correction turns out.
I think the Hispanic Patriot podcast can narrow the field down to Burgum, Scott, and Vivek. I think those, to me, those would be the top three. So
I agree with that.
I think it's going to be one of those three. But we'll know soon enough next week. By this time next week, we should definitely know.
We might be one of the first to bring you that news, actually. You better stick around.
Yeah, maybe we can even corral an interview there.
That'd be wonderful.
All right, so we have what shall we call it?
Delicate?
A delicate topic here in Colorado with the state GOP and our chairman.
Everything tends to be a delicate
and
topic.
What I have dubbed on social media the witch hunt cabal that is out to get him. This cabal is run by a self-appointed activist who happens to be the vice chair of your county there, Mr. Razzo.
Yes, and that's why I have nothing but good to say.
Todd Watkins.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this guy has delusions of grandeur. He has become the standard bearer for this movement, which, in my opinion, is really small. If it ends up going to a vote somewhere along the line, they're going to lose bad. They're not going to get 60% to oust Dave Williams.
I think you actually said numerous times that you're not even sure that a quorum would be possible if people just decided not to bother with the witch hunt.
Well, there's some things in play right now. Mr. Watkins has taken it upon himself to call a illegal meeting that he has been already told to cease and desist. And the state party may, in fact, be using legal means to take him to court and stop this meeting. But if they don't, let's say this meeting on the 27th goes on. Allegedly, he sent out notices to the entire state central committee. Okay. Well, I happen to be on the state central committee, and I have not received anything in the mail. I saw a copy of the envelope on social media earlier today, and I have not received it. So therefore, what I see is he's handpicking who he's inviting to this meeting, which in and of itself would be illegal
Still
because
suspect.
in order to hold a meeting of the Central Committee, you have to notify the entire Central Committee, regardless of whether you agree with that person or not. I'm having some doubts about the reasoning because of why I haven't received it. As of today's mail, I don't have it. The meeting is on the 27th. So today is what, the 10th? Yep, today's the 10th. So I would
So if
have
you
to
get
have
it, we'll inform you, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
I would have to have it in my hands no later than Saturday in order for it to be a legal notice, because you have to give 14 days notice to the Central Committee member in order to hold a meeting.
Well, that'd be a little interesting if that's what you find, on the 14th day when you leave for the everything, because it really does seem strange to me. Why not just announce it very loudly if you're very confident about it? I did see, however, that there was a little bit of back and forth, that there was some question about whether Mr. Watkins was formerly a Dave Williams supporter, whether this might be something along the lines of trying to sort of clean one's own house, if you will. But I think that the main thing is that unfortunately failure invites resistance. Dave Williams didn't win the primary. He sort of bet the farm, in my opinion, on the dual position of chairman and a very strong chairman. I have no problem with what he does as chairman, actually, because I think that's the guy that needs to be holding the whip to keep everybody in line, or the sergeant holding the halberd, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And so being chairman and a candidate, I understand that made a lot of people nervous about his power and all these kind of things. I know that the emails that he sent that a lot of people were up in arms about were, may have not been the best idea politically, but in terms of his principles, they were absolutely on par. And as you mentioned before, that's nothing contradictory to the state party platform. But so at the end of the day, when I look for reasons as to why this happened, I think like I said, he didn't win his primary, so the vultures are circling. And I don't think that that's right at all. We shouldn't be vultures in this party at all. We should be above this. And to denounce and change your position because of perceived fallout, that would really be wrong. So
Well,
I would just say that
I
we've got to
have
be
my own
consistent.
theories about who is driving this, and I think he's just the puppet. But I believe there's money involved, and he has been, I guess, selected to be the standard bearer to push this witch hunt. And unfortunately, like I told them on social media, all of them, it says this thing's going to fall flat on its face. You're not going to remove the chairman, and I want to know from everybody that participated in this how they like their crow, because I intend to send out crow to
Good.
everybody.
I'm glad for that, because this kind of thing really needs to stop in the state party. The Democrats are obviously putting us against each other so that they can take back the party. They know that Colorado is in play this year. They know that if they can lose it here, they can lose it anywhere, because this is the first place they took over, as we all know, Rocky Mountain Blueprint and all that. So I think that we gotta really stop all this nonsense. We gotta
Yeah,
stop.
I saw an interesting poll yesterday.
Really.
Biden is only leading Trump by 2 points in Colorado.
That's actually what I was told at the state convention is, if we can get down every month at least half a percentage, we can actually put Colorado into play this year. If every month from this month till beginning of November, we at least chalk off through our hard work 0.5% every month, we have put Colorado into play. So it's so nobody should be giving up. Nobody should be letting off the gas.
No.
This is not where we need the gas to be going. We're taking a huge detour when we already have a long way to go and a short time to get there. That's what ticks me off about this whole thing more than anything else. We don't have a lot of time.
The timing, they have no regard for the party or the candidates. They're being hurt by this stupidity.
What I don't want, though, because I'm really afraid of this more than anything, is the idea in some GOP-minded heads in the state that once Trump loses, they believe Trump's going to lose. Once Trump loses again, they'll make Colorado the sane Republican state, where we're the Republican non-MAGA state. You can trust us. I'm really hoping that that's not that kind of collaborationist thinking is not what the state party is thinking or what officials in the state party are thinking. There is no sane Republican Party and insane Republican Party. There is no MAGA. We're all part of the same party. We all go down or up together. That's what these people really need to understand.
there's
Any Republican represents the Republican name.
the state party is not anti-Trump.
I shouldn't say state party. I should say certain people within the state party. Because you're right, it's not the majority by any kind. That's another thing you'll see. When this goes nowhere, we'll see that it's not a majority.
There's some people, there may be some people within the Central Committee that may be anti-Trump, but I think that number has been reduced greatly. And there's another bit of news that came out that I saw that was interesting. Nikki Haley endorsed Trump.
Yep.
And released all her delegates to him. So
which means our dear friend Raymond will no longer be forced in that sense.
Exactly. All the Haley delegates were sweating it because they didn't want to
rather
vote
openly, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I remember actually in our state platform during the state convention that was a thing that we openly, told the whole country is actually almost all of our. I remember when Dave said this is pretty much all of our Haley voters would rather vote for Trump straight up. It was very open that was the case. So I loved that.
That was great news.
You can't say that transparency hasn't been brought to the state party, if nothing else.
Interestingly, I did find out also that neither Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis will be speaking at the convention.
That's
Haley said it was due to not being invited, but she was okay with that Trump is the candidate and we need to support him and elect him. So she's saying all the right things, trying to mend fences, but it's going to be a long haul for her. She's going to have to really show that she can come back into the fold, so to speak, and really do something to help elect President Trump.
I kind of wish that she would team up with Tulsi Gabbard, actually, because their foreign policies are extremely different. They'd be a great moderating force together, because of course you got Tulsi as the former Democrat, and then Nikki Haley as the recovering globalist. So that might be a fun team, a rehabilitation team.
Yeah, that's the thing about Nikki is she would have to repent of her globalism. That would be the biggest thing I would have to say about her. Tulsi is not a globalist. She's
anti-globalist.
She's an America First patriot. She served our nation, and she's got a lot of good ideas. I've heard some good ideas, but I still, in the back of my mind, I still don't have 100% trust in her.
It takes time.
She needs to take the next step and say, okay, I'm a Republican. I'm a registered Republican.
Join the club. It's much more fun.
Join the club, become a member, and then we'll cautiously welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, don't be the Bernie of the Republican Party. Don't do that. Just take the switch. But we're looking forward to a lot of things getting better in the state party, because I think, like I said, victory. If failure invites resistance, then victory invites unity. So I think when Trump wins, we'll see a lot more concord within the state party.
Yep. And when we get back from the convention, it's hit the road running.
Yep. You'll be seeing a lot of new content.
The next 3 months will be the make or break. It's time for people out there. If you're out there listening in Colorado, find a candidate that you want to support. Make phone calls, knock on doors. I mean, whatever you need to do, whatever you're able to do and can contribute, every little bit helps. So we're encouraging everyone to get behind the movement and work towards the general election. We've got a lot of statewide races. We've got some federal races. Let's win some races here this cycle, and silence the critics that think that we're just some lost party, because we're not. I am going to stay right here now. I support Chairman Williams 100%, and I am not backing down. In fact, I'm in the middle of this fight, and I will be at the legal meeting on August the 31st that the state party has called. So,
and I will be always for integrity. I definitely Having met Williams numerous times, I think he's a great young candidate that we have. I think he's a great young man that we have, and we need to stop throwing away our young men just because we're a little bit different than what you're used to, or if we have something about us that you don't like. Try to see the good in what we have. We have a great young generation of people that can really know how to fight politically. Don't throw them away. Just don't do that.
And that's a good point to close on, because we have to be cognizant of our young Republicans, and those are the ones that we need to be lifting up, because they're the future leaders of our party. And if we start tossing them away like nobody's trash, then there won't be many people stepping up to serve.
We need that passion. We need that fire. That's what's going to take us over the finish line.
All right, we've come to the end of the road for tonight. Stay tuned next week. We're headed to the convention. Nick and I will be hitting
right to it.
Friendly skies up there to Cheesehead country, and hope to enjoy some cheese and some beer. And
I'm gonna love to go back home. I can't wait. I've been missing the food so much. It'll be.
I told my wife I'm riding home in a Harley
with a sidecar full of cheese. Well, folks, you will be seeing us there at the RNC. Please keep us on your radar. You'll be seeing things that you literally will not be seeing anywhere else. You have to check it out. Follow, like, subscribe. You do not want to miss what we'll be bringing you.
Absolutely. And donate.
Yes, please. We need more funds.
We need your help. Thank you.
We need everything that professional standards demand. So thank you so much for your support.
All right.
And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you for tuning in tonight, and God bless you, and God bless America.
God bless America. Take care.